Dogworks Radio is sponsored by Alaska Dogworks. Check out their website at alaskadogworks.com.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by First Paw Coffee Company, specializing in private label premium blend coffee. If you're serious about coffee, you should check it out. First Paw Coffee's passion is high-quality, small-batch roasted coffee. They take the extra time to taste and get everything perfect before they release new blends. They aim to bring you a cup of happiness each time you pour yourself some coffee. Find out more at ak.dog/free and enter for a chance to win some First Paw Coffee prizes, a book from our collection, and tote bag. One winner will be selected at random each month. That's ak.dog/free.
All about the sport of tracking or trailing with your dog. I'm sure you've seen those old prison movies with the bloodhounds baying into the wind and their noses to the ground as they scamper to and fro looking for their bounty, the prisoner, that somehow escaped and is on the run. Always in the woods and always in the middle of the night and in a rainstorm. The dog handlers are being drugged all over the place. Here is a little known fact. They still use dogs in tracking prisoners, and they also use inmates from the prison as training quarry when they are working with the dogs to build up their skills. Imagine if you were a prisoner and it was your job to go out every day and escape just to be caught over and over and over again. Groundhog Day times 10, you guys. But did you know that tracking is becoming a very popular sport for pet dogs too? Tracking refers to a dog's ability to detect, recognize, and follow a specific scent. Possessing heightened olfactory abilities, dogs are able to detect, track, and locate the source of certain odors. This is a great exercise to teach your dog. It encourages bonding and uses the dog's mental and physical capabilities. Our own Robert Forto started his professional career working with and training tracking dogs with his first dog training company, Northwest Lifeline, back in the early 1990s.
From First Paw Media, sponsored by Alaska Dogworks Professional Canine Training Center in Anchorage, Alaska. This is Dogworks Radio, committed to families and their dogs to build lifelong and fulfilling relationships. Visit our website at dogworksradio.com. Now here are your hosts, Robert and Michele Forto.
Hello and welcome to Dogworks Radio. This is your host, Michele Forto, and I am the lead trainer of Alaska Dogworks. From time to time, we have offered classes to teach tracking or trailing with dogs. This is lots of fun and doesn't require a lot of equipment. It does, however, require patience and a dog willing to follow a scent to find a prize. So, what is tracking and why is it useful? Tracking or trailing is a first step in teaching a dog to perform search and rescue, tree a raccoon, or even locate an autistic child that has wandered away from home. There are lots of techniques in teaching a dog to track or trail. This podcast is going to focus on competition trials. Whether you want to compete or not, there is a lot of information through the American Kennel Club, and most local search and rescue clubs will often have fun events that use tracking trials. A tracking trial is an event to encourage dogs to make use of their strongest facility, the ability to follow a scent trail. The competition emulates the finding of a lost person or article in a situation where the performance of the dog can be fairly assessed. Because of this, the tracks laid are straightforward, not the wanderings that may characterize a lost person, nor do they include deliberate attempts by the track layer to deceive the dog. Tracking trial basics. Although different organizations specify somewhat different rules, the basics of a tracking trial remain the same. The objective is for the dog to find the deliberately lost track layer and any articles they may have dropped along the track. Generally, tracks are laid, marked, and mapped on the day previous to the tracking trial by the trial judge or steward. Tracks are chosen so that the judge or steward can easily determine where the track is located and where articles are to be placed, even after the marks, ribbons, or flags have been removed. The length of the track, the number of corners, the number of articles left on the track depends on the level of difficulty of the track and the rules of the organization under which the trial is being run. On the day of the trial, a track layer follows the marked track and removes any marks that have been placed on the track. Then leaves articles of clothing on the track as specified by the steward or judge, including one at the end of the track. After a specified time, depending on the difficulty of the track and the requirements of the rules of the organization, the dog and handler is directed to the track and find the track layer and articles as required. The dog is usually worked on a 10-meter or 30-foot lead, but the length of lead actually depends on the terrain. In general, a dog must work continually. As if genuinely looking for a lost person without assistance from the handler, and find the required number of lost articles and the track layer at the end of the track. For the dog to be awarded a pass, this pass can also be graded on the quality of the work. After the required passes have been awarded, the dog may apply for a tracking title according to the rules of the organization the trials have been run under. So let's back up a little bit. You're not ready for a tracking trial. Let's talk about how to train your dog to do just that. Begin by choosing an area to train your dog. Training your dog to track can be done indoors or outdoors because various weather elements like wind and temperature can affect scent molecules. You may want to start his training inside to keep the scent in one place, so to speak. This I highly recommend. Whether you train inside or outside, try to eliminate potential distractions such as other pets, people, and loud noises. Again, another reason to do this inside. This is a perfect time of year to do this here in Alaska. We can't do very much outside, so you might as well get started by doing some tracking training with your dog inside. So here we go. Select an object for your dog to track. Although there are many ways to hone your dog's natural tracking instincts, most dogs will enjoy following the scent of their favorite toy. Choose your dog's favorite toy and use it for each training session. Play fetch with your dog. Playing with your dog before your training session will get him warmed up and excited to train. Fetch is a great game to get your dog warmed up because it is so similar to tracking. Play with your dog for about 10 to 15 minutes before beginning your training session. Command your dog to sit and or stay. Spend some time teaching your dog these commands if he is not yet familiar with them. Having him stay in one place will teach him patience and will help your track training go more smoothly. Attach your dog's leash to his collar when he is situated in one place. Hide your dog's toy in plain sight. Although your dog's tracking sense is likely very sharp, his training should first involve him retrieving his toy when it is in plain sight. While your dog is seated or standing in one place, hold the toy in front of him. Allow your dog to watch as you place the toy where he can see it. Command your dog to retrieve the toy. Pick up your dog's leash and give him a verbal cue to get the toy. Common cues include search, seek, and find it. Your dog may follow your command with ease the first time. On the other hand, your dog may not initially understand what you want him to do. If your dog needs extra help, guide him with his leash to the toy. When he has the toy in his mouth, run back to your starting position and encourage him to follow you with the toy in his mouth. Tell your dog to drop his toy when you and he reach the starting position. You may need to practice hiding the toy and giving your dog the verbal cue several times until he can retrieve the toy without your guidance. Reward your dog immediately with verbal praise and a treat when he retrieves the toy. Hide the toy where your dog cannot see it. To challenge your dog, hide your dog's toy so that it is out of his line of sight. This will allow your dog to use his nose rather than his eyes to find his toy. Examples of where you can hide his toy include a different room, under furniture, or under a cardboard box. As you did before, command your dog to sit or stay, hide the toy, then command him to find it. Remember to allow him to sniff the toy before you hide it. Reward him immediately when he finds the toy and brings it back to you. We're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to learn all about First Paw Coffee.
So earlier, you learned about First Paw Coffee Company. Now I'm going to tell you about its Trailbreaker Blend. First Paw Coffee Company's Trailbreaker Blend is inspired by our love of the Northern Lights, frosty paws, and sled dog trails. How cool is that? The Trailbreaker Blend is a private label premium blend that was developed just for them. It's a medium dark roast from Central and South America, highlighting flavors of brown sugar, hazelnut, and plum. Be sure to go to ak.dog/free and enter to win a bunch of cool prizes. That's ak.dog/free.
All right, you guys, doesn't that coffee sound good? No matter what time of the day you're listening to me up here in Alaska, a good cup of coffee is always a great idea. So before the break, we talked about tracking or trail training. If you're interested in learning more or even considering taking a class, let us know. Use the wind to improve your dog's tracking skills. Once your dog has gotten good at using his nose to find his toy, challenge him even more by incorporating wind into your training. After you hide the toy, stand downwind of it with your dog. By facing downwind, the wind will carry the scent of your dog's toy to his nose, allowing him to find it more easily. Downwind means that the wind will be in your face. If you stand upwind, your dog will actually have to run past the toy until he is downwind of it. He probably won't mind doing this, but it may increase your training time. Have a helper hide the toy. This is another way to challenge your dog during your track training sessions. As you stand silently with your dog, have someone else hide the toy while your dog is watching him or her. Command your dog to retrieve the toy when the helper comes back to you. Your helper may need to initially hide the toy in an easy place so your dog can adjust to someone else hiding the toy. Your helper can then escalate the difficulty by hiding the toy in a harder place to find and not having the dog follow his or her movements. Make sure not to verbally encourage your dog to follow your helper's movements. Your dog will probably look at you rather than your helper. Okay, you guys, that wraps up our tracking, training, or trailing training advice. And like I said, if you're interested in doing this is something we've been doing for a very long time. As I mentioned earlier, this is where Robert got his start, cut his teeth, if you will, back when he operated Northwest Lifeline, where he did a lot of tracking training. He was involved in search and rescue, and he really enjoyed it. So now I'm going to take a little break, and then when I come back, we're going to learn all about the Beagle.
We're living in uncertain times. If there is one thing we can be thankful for, that is the recent pet adoption boom. Shelters are being cleared out, and that means you may not know much about your new best friend. Alaska Dogworks virtual and on-site classes are the best way for you to build a lasting bond and learn about your pup, new or old. From setting up a proper routine to learning the commands and much more, Alaska Dogworks provides you with the resources to develop your dog into one of the best. Right now, Alaska Dogworks has an exclusive offer just for our listeners. Go to alaskadogworks.com now and use promo code DOGWORKS and save 20% off your training program at the time of your booking. Visit alaskadogworks.com and use promo code DOGWORKS to save 20% today. That's alaskadogworks.com and use promo code DOGWORKS at the time of booking.
All right, you guys, let's learn all about those beagles. There are two beagle varieties, those standing under 13 inches at the shoulder and those between 13 and 15 inches. Both varieties are sturdy, solid, and big for their inches, as dog folks say. They come in such pleasing colors as lemon, red, and white, and tricolor. The beagle's fortune is in his adorable face, with its big brown or hazel eyes set off by long, houndy ears set low on a broad head, a breed described as merry by its fanciers. Beagles are loving and lovable, happy and companionable, all qualities that make them excellent family dogs. No wonder that for years the beagle has been the most popular hound dog among American pet owners. These are curious, clever, and energetic hounds who require plenty of playtime. Here are some quick facts. Beagles are friendly, curious, and merry. The AKC breed popularity ranks them 6th out of 195. Again, height is 13 inches and under, or 13 to 15 inches. Weight is under 20 pounds for the 13 inches and under, and 20 to 30 pounds for the 13 to 15 inches. They have a life expectancy of 10 to 15 years, and they are listed in the hound group. Here's a history about the beagles. The origins of this ancient breed have been the subject of conjecture for centuries. Even the breed name is shrouded in mystery. Some experts say it derives from the Gaelic word beag, meaning little, while others point to the French term for the sound hounds make while hunting, beguile. There are reports of small packhounds employed to hunt rabbit and hare in England long before the Roman legions arrived in 55 BC. An English authority called the beagle the foothound of our country, indigenous to the soil. By the 1500s, most English gentlemen had packs of large hounds that tracked deer and smaller hounds that tracked hares. The smaller, more compact hounds were ancestors of our modern beagle. The phrase foothound is vital to understanding the beagle's broad appeal for hunters in England, the continent, and North America. Unlike larger pack hunters like foxhounds or harriers, the beagle could be hunted on foot. No horse was necessary. Those who couldn't afford to feed and stable a mount, and ladies and gentlemen too old to spend a hard day thundering across the countryside on horseback, could easily keep up with a pack of beagles on foot. Beagles imports began arriving in America in the years after the Civil War, and their popularity among U.S. rabbit hunters was immediate. The AKC registered its first beagle named Blunder in 1885. To this day, beaglers in woodsy areas of North America still swear by their breed's great nose, musical voice, and enthusiastic approach to rabbit hunting. Care and training of the beagles should do well on a high-quality dog food, whether commercially manufactured or home-prepared with your veterinarian supervision and approval. Any diet should be appropriate to the dog's age. Some dogs are prone to getting overweight, so watch your dog's calorie consumption and weight level. Treats can be an important aid in training, but giving too many can cause obesity. Learn about which human foods are safe for dogs and which are not. I have to give a shout out here to my friend Dave, who runs the Beagle Ranch, and his beagles, all 7 of them, enjoy blueberry pancakes with him. It's a lot of fun to see the pictures that he posts. Check with your vet if you have any concerns about your dog's diet or weight, and clean fresh water should be available at all times. Beagles are active, energetic dogs who need at least an hour of exercise every day. This doesn't mean just letting them out in the backyard. Beagles were bred to work in packs and are happiest when they have company. A beagle who is left alone inside or outside for long periods of time will tend to become destructive. This can be avoided if he has a companion, whether human or canine, to play with. Beagles are escape artists, so an exercise area must have a fence of at least 5 feet tall that extends underground to prevent tunneling. Walks must always be taken on a leash because a scent hound with a very strong hunting instinct, a beagle will not be able to resist the urge to run off in pursuit of a compelling scent. As with all dogs, early socialization and puppy training classes are a must. Treats are a huge aid in training. Beagles do not respond well to harsh techniques, but patience, positive reinforcement, and even a little creativity will win out in the end. Want to learn how to train your beagle to be one of the best trained dogs? Follow us on our social channels. Just search DogWorks Radio. Did you know that DogWorks Radio is much more than a podcast? We are a full-service dog training center here in Alaska, and we work with clients not only up here in the Great White North, but also around the world. As always, check out our website at alaskadogworks.com, and please be sure to tell your family and friends about our podcast. The best thing you can do to help us out is just share our show on social media. See you next time.
This episode of the podcast is sponsored by First Paw Coffee Company. Learn more at firstpaw.coffee.
From First Paw Media, this is DogWorks Radio. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we invite you to subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find a link on the episode notes. You can tap or swipe on the episode cover art, and you'll see some offers from our sponsors. You can support our show by supporting them. If you like what you have heard, we would love it if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe too. Your hosts are Robert and Michele Forto. Our producer is Robert Forto and created for First Paw Media. Did you know that Alaska DogWorks trains service dogs for those in need throughout North America? Each and every service dog that is trained through the Lead Dog Service Dog Program and Michele Forto and her team has an individual training plan. We train for autistic, mobility, psychiatric, and PTSD for our soldiers for service work. If you know of someone that may need a service dog, please take a moment and check out Alaska DogWorks on social media and at alaskadogworks.com.